with extensive factory drivability training. Join the Motor Medics for fun and free automotive advice with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. Let's go right to Ohio and talk to Bruce. Bruce, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hi, great. Thanks for taking my call, and I appreciate what you guys do. It gives us all an education here.
Our pleasure.
I have a 77 Charger, and several years back, a mechanic friend recommended Rislone for some lifter noise. It doesn't get driven a lot. It's getting better since I've been putting more miles on it. I was wondering, a show or two back, you mentioned a zinc additive like ZDDP or something like that. I jotted it down. Would that be a better option to put in my car?
You've got a flat tappet cam in that car, so you definitely need an additive that provides that type of protection. Our partners at Justice Brothers have their metal conditioner in all of their products, which does that. The product that you mentioned, you would have to read on it and see if it specifically says that it covers the ZDDP, the missing zinc out of the oil. If it doesn't, then you definitely don't want to use that for protection of that cam and lifters in there. You've got to have a ZDDP additive, and then there's plenty of places you can get just a straight ZDDP replacement additive. And then we've used that on many vehicles with remanufactured engines where they require that, and the actual engine comes to us in the crate with that in the package and says, you must use this. If you do not use this, we're not going to cover this under warranty. And they can tell. It just kind of grinds things apart, especially on a brand new cam. But on your old one, I would use that at every oil change. The product you're talking about is helpful to free up sticky lifters and other parts in the engine that would make noise like that.
I got to go back and ask you a question from the beginning here. I hope you got your answer on that. But what year did you say this Charger was?
77. It is not a muscle car. It's a cruiser.
Yeah, because I mean that
sister car to a Cordoba.
Yep, I was just trying to get a vision in my head what a 77 Charger looked like.
I imagined like a 77 Thunderbird.
It's like a Cordoba without the rich Corinthian leather.
Right, exactly. And the medallion hood ornament.
Yeah.
Is this qualify as a Berkeley One Classic? Guess the color, and this is going to be a hard color guess.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to be honest with you. For me, it does not get to that.
Doesn't compute for you?
It doesn't compute as a classic.
Can you picture it in your head?
Totally.
I can.
And it just is that era of.
I think it's a sneaky classic, and we got to do it.
It fit in this car. If you're a Chrysler guy, a Mopar guy, or girl, you own this Charger. If you were a Chevy guy and you wanted to buy a 77, you'd bought a Chevy Laguna.
And they made an S3 Laguna just for NASCAR.
Yeah, so you'd get that. So those were the big.
And a Ford would have been what we sold 100, so many of them, 77 to 79 Thunderbirds and Cougars.
Yeah.
I think we're in the territory.
Here's why
you just don't want to admit it, Chris.
For me, it does. Here's why it doesn't count for me. Because when I think of a Charger, when you think of
69,
when you think of a Charger, you think of a certain thing. And when I look at the 70, I looked it up. That's why, because I was trying to think of what it looked like. It looks like a car from 1977 more than a Charger or a Thunderbird or anything else. I think it
Bruce,
looks.
Well,
does yours have T-tops?
No T-tops. No.
Oh, bummer.
So what about when they went to like 82 and they did a Challenger?
Oh,
remember that thing?
No.
Oh,
that was like a little
Wrong with
Mitsubishi
that.
motor.
yeah, wrong.
And that look that up, Chris, if you
All
want a
right.
shock. That would
It's like a Nova.
And that was
that would grind your gears like no ZDDP.
Yeah, it just did the whole.
I think his Charger is.
I think it's got a padded Landau top and it's brown.
Okay, brown.
I wanna say it's black, but my mind really is saying that it's white. So I'm just going white.
I think it's that pale yellow that they had. That cream.
You are even less excited about it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a kind of a beige color.
Yeah, it was like a creamish yellow.
Please tell us we're all wrong.
What color is it, Bruce?
Yeah, you're all wrong. Russ was maybe close. It is a two-tone with a Daytona two-tone paint package, and it is silver and black.
Silver and black.
Okay.
So no padded Landau top on that one.
No. That was more common on Cordobas.
Yes, it was. That's when you said Cordoba, my mind got stuck there because my dad saved a couple of Cordobas that he thought were collectible
Gonna be
a long time ago before it was even a thought. And I think he might still have one.
I think I can't give that one to you, Russ, because it's two-tone.
Oh, dude,
You know what I mean?
No.
Even-
Unless
yeah.
it was black and white, that would have been cool.
Well, if you don't drive this every day and it's kind of a nicer show car or just a collectible car, give Berkeley One Classics a call and or hit their website up and they might be able to give you some good insurance with an agreed value and you'd be happy with it.
For sure.
Bruce, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. What has caught your attention in the automotive
There
world?
is one thing that caught my attention.
Okay.
Just one. The new Model A.
Tell me more.
I'm the only one that caught this?
I didn't.
Yeah.
FAA approved a prototype of a
yeah.
flying car by Alef Industries. I believe it's called ALEF. It kind of looks like elf, but spelled funny. And they call it the Model A. And it can take off vertically, and it can go 100 miles, and it's a flying car, and it got initial approval by the FAA.
I did see that.
Yeah, kind of. One of our employees had sent it out in a group here, so I just quickly looked up on my phone here a little
I thought
bit
it was
about
spam. I didn't open it.
Yeah. It's almost here. The first electric flying car in history has received its special airworthiness certification from the FAA, meaning the Alef, I don't quite know how to say it, Model A is cleared to begin testing with some restrictions. The Model A can take off and land vertically, along with being able to drive on public roads, meaning the FAA is what I did a lot in high school. FAA has been resolving the novel challenges this presents for an aircraft of this type. The Model A can carry 2 passengers and has a driving range of 200 miles and a flying range of 110 miles, as well as being sized for use on public roads and parking space. $150 gets potential buyers a general queue slot, while $1,500 lands a priority spot when deliveries start. Alef is expected to be driving and flying by 2025.
We'll see if it comes to.
You want to put $150
fruition
on
or
it? I'll go 10-1 that it doesn't.
That it's not flying?
Yeah. Now they might solve a few problems and which is fine, but I just don't think anybody's going to be.
There's a button on this story. I actually went to oncrate.com was the one that I happened upon. Buy from Alef for $300,000. There's a buy button. Should I push it? See what happens? Oh, it just brings me to their website.
So they want $150 down or the $1,500 down, but it's a $300,000.
$300,000 or $350,000 is what I saw, but I'm sure that they'll demand much more than that when they hit the market. Like a new bug.
Have you seen it? Did you see have you looked into it at all?
No.
I watched a quick little video they showed as it showed it. Like the video it showed was I think it was USA Today or somebody had an accident on the freeway, and there was like a semi with something laying across the freeway, and the freeway was blocked, and it showed the prototype car just going up in the air and just avoiding that whole thing.
Does it have any things that fold out like propellers, like a drone or anything?
No, it doesn't. It has it's a.
But they called it a Model A. I found that almost sacrilegious.
The Jetson one or whatever it was had
That's
had a like, it was going to be the next best thing. What happened to that one, Chris?
It's just it's a tough thing to get to, I think.
So $150 gets you a wager,
Yeah.
or maybe a car,
Yeah.
or maybe a plane.
I'm taking bets on it.
We laughed at this like we laughed at electric cars 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's going to be a hybrid, right?
Yeah.
Let's see how the Prius does in 10 years.
Exactly.
They're going to nickname it the Aloof Model A.
866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Bill. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Bill, what can we do for you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you very much for what you do. I really, really enjoy the show. Listen all the time.
Thank you.
I'm local here in Sioux Falls.
Thank you.
Okay, and my question is, again, regarding the metal conditioner additives, like the ZDDP, the Justice Brothers product that you talked about just a little bit ago. I have two vehicles. I have a 2006 Buick LeSabre Limited 2.8 and a 2005 Buick 2.8 and a 2006 Toyota Avalon 3.5. Would there be a benefit to using that in there? I change oil every 2,000 to 3,000 miles. The cars don't get driven a lot.
On those cars, I wouldn't recommend a ZDDP additive. What's contained in your regular oils that you would buy would be fine for those cars. Now, on the other hand, if you had, it's not a blanket statement for all newer cars, because we've been recommending that to people with Chrysler products with 3.6 engines that have camshaft failure issues, and people with 5.7 Hemis with camshaft failure issues, because it's a pressure issue, and that's just what seems to be taking out these camshafts. But most cars, if they're newer, don't have this problem. The problem you run into is the older ones with the flat tappet camshaft, where there was no roller on the lifter, and they had so much pressure going on there that would be the weak point of the oil, and they would fail, and the metal would fail. So on these particular vehicles you have, if they were mine, I wouldn't
worry about it.
Wouldn't be thinking I'd need to put this specific additive in there. Friction modifiers, like the metal conditioners that's in all the Justice Brothers products, will greatly reduce wear in the engines, and so that's a great thing to have. But where you're talking specifically about ZDDP additive to protect the engine, and these models, no, I wouldn't think so.
Okay, so you wouldn't necessarily use the Justice Brothers metal conditioner.
I use that in a lot of vehicles because it reduces heat and friction and wear in the engine and just makes the engine last longer.
But it's not critical like it is in other cars with flat tappet cams, where they were not engineered to have the ZDDP removed. The engineering in those engines was done way before the government mandated that they take that out of the oil in 07 or whatever it was. And so that is why that is the case. And your Toyota was they're usually very advanced engineering. They had the roller lifters early on some things, and GM in that 3800 line, 3.8, different engine that they have there. Those were all rollers. Now was it 95? I think they were still flat tap, and I know somewhere in there they were still, the early ones were still flat tappets, but I just can't remember what year it was. But no, you're good to go.
Bill, thanks very much for the call. Yeah, there's a kind of a year cutoff or an age thing that we're talking about, right? I mean, it's just
Really got to
Generally.
look and see what your engine's equipped with. Is it
Yeah.
a flat tappet cam or is it a roller cam?
And I've said this for a long time on the show, before even Russ was on the show, and we just talk about things, but a good regular maintenance schedule will cover most applications for your oil
Mm-hmm.
change. And maybe even using the rough service guide or the heavy service guide versus in our part of the country where we're at, because of the extreme temperatures, hot and cold, humidity levels that we get, all the different conditions that we get, that heavier service interval is probably the one to use, unless you're just constant interstate driving, constantly taking the car on 100-mile drives that you're getting the temperature up. Not as important. And now if you have the budget and you want to put an extra additive in, like our partner from Justice Brothers, it's always going to help. It's always going to help just because of the way that it's manufactured and the way the additive package that it has, like Russ says, the friction modifiers, the conditioners, those extra things aren't going to hurt anything at all. They're only going to help. And so, but if you don't have the budget for it, just keep with your normal oil change schedule and it'll be okay.
Which, if you don't have the budget for the extra, you might be stretching that oil change a little for the same reason. So
yeah, there's kind of a meshing point there. Yeah. I know what you're thinking. Can I go longer if I just put in some additive?
Or I just drive more. 866. That's exactly it. If I put this in, I can wait a little bit. No, don't do that. 866-594-4150. Let's go to North Dakota and talk to Donnie. You're on the Under the Hood show. Donnie, what can we do for you?
Oh, I had called in. I got a 213 Chrysler, and I've got power steering problems with that. The pump was really noisy, and it was kind of hard steering. So anyway, I took it in there, and they told me, well, the pump is no good. So they replaced. You can't get a pump from Chrysler because they don't make it no more. So I had to get an aftermarket pump. We put that on, and then it was even worse than it was with the pump we had on there before. So they said, well, that pump isn't working. So they ordered another pump and put it on, and that's even worse than the pump we had on there before. I drove it for, I'd say maybe a mile or two, and I lost my power steering completely.
Oh no!
And I just they just picked it up this morning with a tow truck, and they took it in now. They're gonna check something. I don't know what they're doing. I really don't know if they know what they're doing. And I wanted to find out if you guys know something about that car, what you think could be wrong with it.
It probably, from what we've seen in those cars, it probably has a bad rack in it. And there's probably contamination from that rack in the system. And if you throw another pump on it, if you had a pump on it that was sort of working and you take it off, well, you've got to bleed the system when you put the new pump on. And if that rack is damaged and is failing inside, it's going to be nearly impossible to get all the air out of it. So you could have no power steering if you put a brand new pump on it. It does that one. The 200 should have an electronic control valve on it too, which could have a failure in that, and that's easily checked. They can check that, but my guess is they're going to come back and tell you they need to put a rack in it, and when they put the rack in it, they're going to have to flush that system out, and probably they'll swap that pump out under warranty as well because it'll be contaminated with whatever was floating around in that system. But there's not a lot to that system. You've got a rack, you've got a pump, and then as long as the belt's turning to run the pump, and then there's a little electronic control valve that adjusts the pressure on it to make it easier to turn at parking lot speeds versus highway speeds. And that could have failed in itself, but it can be checked pretty easily. If you've got a shop with a power steering pressure gauge, they just hook it in the line right at the pump. They read it. If there's pressure, the pump's good. If there's no pressure, the pump's bad. Simple as that. So if you've got pressure and it doesn't turn, you need to put a rack in it. If everything's flowing the way it should.
And when Russ talks about the rack, he's talking about the rack and pinion for the
steering gear.
They replace the gearbox, lays in there on the engine cradle and connects side to side from the steering apparatus to the steering column. And there are some of those vehicles as you get into the newer years, and they didn't have a physical power steering pump. That is kind of getting to be lost item on the cars is the physical power steering pump that was run by a belt. That's been replaced with an electric motor that builds the pressure and servos that do the steering. And some of those are going to be units that you have to replace as a complete assembly regardless when they fail. And then they have electronics in them that have to be programmed to the vehicle. And some of these cars didn't have to go much newer than this, and I believe that's the system that they would have. But this one, I still had the hydraulic pump, and they should be able to check all that. And I think that they're going to be doing a gut check themselves after this second repair.
Right.
You know, they're not happy that this is coming back on the tow truck at all.
Yeah.
And so just have patience with them, give them a chance. But if they're
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. If you like our subscribe to our YouTube channel and join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Marie McCloskey, congratulations from us all under the hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute. Check them out at uti.edu. This is the time to be thinking that you might want to plan your career. Summer's going to be over before you know it. The season of getting those admissions going for learning about cars, learning about go all the way to NASCAR Technical Institute. I mean, now do it now.
And you can just do it now and get in. I mean, you can get in.
Yeah, you can get in anytime you want, but you got to plan now.
Yeah, look at it now.
Don't just say, hey, I'm taking the summer off, and then you take the winter off, and then you take the spring off, and then you take the summer off, and before you know it, you're a deadbeat on the corner doing nothing when you could have been a UTI graduate.
That's true. It's only 2 years. As my brother says, it's not hard. It just takes time.
Yeah. 2 years from now, you're going to be doing something.
You're going to be going,
that time's going to be gone.
Maybe this fall is the time I do it. 2 years goes quick. 866-594-4150. We had a call come in, a chat on the chat this morning. See if you can answer this one. Can wideband O2 sensors go bad even with low mileage after 10 years?
Yeah, after 2 years.
That quick?
Oh yeah, we've seen those Lambda sensors. We've seen those things go bad. We've seen them bad at the dealership. They were bad when they came in. The car's a month old and it failed. Sorry, it just failed. Doesn't matter what it is. But these oxygen sensors and these Lambda sensors in these cars, wideband O2s, they're designed. They hope to get 100,000 miles out of it, but it depends on fuel quality, how often you're changing the oil, because you're like, well, what does oil have to do with oxygen sensors? It has to do a lot with oxygen sensors and spark plugs. If you're not changing your oil, eventually it gets thin enough and diluted and contaminated that it starts getting past the piston and into the exhaust, and you have issues going on there. Just like fuel goes past and into your oil, you can have things going on. It's that any part can fail at any time, but when it does fail, just you replace it. That's part of your maintenance. You can look, if a check engine light comes on, find out why it's on, address it, fix it. You can look at the data, and if you see your fuel trims are really skewed on one side versus the other, maybe we have an issue with a vacuum leak. Maybe we have an oxygen sensor that's failing, or we could have something little simpler lines like spark plugs are getting worn and they're not wearing evenly. Something's going on there. Lots of different things to check. Just things to think about when you're doing maintenance.
Yeah, we talk about regular maintenance, and even if you're doing everything correctly, sometimes things
happen.
Yeah,
I got a owner notification from Nissan that came to our business here recently, and of course, having a lot of vehicles in our name that we've salvaged, we see a lot of recall letters and owner notifications and these sort of things. But this particular one says, "Dear Nissan Altima owner, Nissan is committed to providing the highest level of product quality and customer satisfaction. Therefore, Nissan is extending the emissions warranty coverage on your rear oxygen sensor." That's why I brought this up. "In the case of a short-to-ground condition to 20 years or 200,000 miles, whichever occurs first, as described in the details below."
Wow.
Your 2013 Altima may not be able to correctly identify the rear oxygen sensor experiences a short-to-ground condition. In the rare case of a rear oxygen short-to-ground, it may prevent detection of 13 specific trouble codes. Further information on these 13 DTCSs and their respective conditions is available using the link or QR code, which is on here. But anyway, they have got apparently a rear oxygen sensor problem, and they are going to pay for inspection annually of your rear oxygen sensor to come in and check it out.
20 years or 200,000 miles.
Yes.
Yeah.
My question is why? Why did they do that?
Because they're committed to customer satisfaction.
It says it provided the highest level of that's the one line. Right. It tells it all.
If it is, I give them a 10. That's amazing.
I was just thinking, I would love to get that letter once, like get an honest letter from the manufacturer. Hey, Chris, we're sending you this letter because we got sued, or they said we had to. We don't want to. Yeah, but listen.
Why don't they just tell the truth?
Listen, this is...
GM says they're committed to customer satisfaction and service as well, but if you've got one of their brand new vehicles that you paid $100,000 for, that's reached its 36,000 miles, and your lifters fail because they put crappy lifters in it, and they know it, and they tell you that, they go, "Oh, too bad. Buy another one." It's like, not from you.
I just want honesty in the letter. Dear automobile owner, fine, bring it in.
We got sued by the federal emissions people.
Yeah, bring it in.
It just seems like it's not like it's one of those warranty safety recalls. Like, your fuel pump might die and leave you stranded, which is a safety thing, or stall in the street. This is there's something more going on to this. I'd like to know what it is.
Maybe,
or maybe not.
Maybe Nissan is really committed to our satisfaction.
Yeah, I'm just reading through this.
Yeah.
They're going to pay for the voltage tests that you need to have done
every year.
Wouldn't they do it on a bigger scale? This one car is going to make their company look that much better?
I guess this is just the one car I have.
Maybe here's an idea.
I wonder
maybe
if
it's not a problem
covering more.
And the dealers asked them to send this out to get everybody in there once a year, so they can go, no, we tested it, it's fine. But you know what?
We have a new model available.
Did you see the new Altimas? Let's go to Arizona and talk to Frank. You're on the Under the Hood show, Frank. What can we do for you?
Well, I bought somebody else's headache.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Because it was 4x4 and it was cheap. I was like, all right, I think I can make this work. And, of course, he said, all it needs is tires, alignment, and the air conditioning fix. It comes out later on. I've already rebuilt the transmission. I put new computer in it. I've done all the fuel injectors. I've done the ignition system. I did the cap, the rotor. You know where I'm going with this, right? And the spark plug, and I still have misfire on cylinder 1. And then I've been trying to track it down. Every time I do a compression test, I've got like around 40 across the board. But then it like comes and goes. Like, I'll start it up. Sometimes this thing runs like there's not a problem at all. And the next thing you know, the next startup at like the gas station starts misfiring again on cylinder 1.
Have you pulled the valve? Have you pulled the valve cover off yet?
No, I have not. I haven't pulled the valve cover off. I was thinking that something.
It's like
I have my own opinion.
Christmas present.
My own
Pull it off and look, and there's probably a present in there for you. It's probably one rocker that's not moving as much as the rest.
I did a leak down test. Now I'm not a mechanic. You know what I mean? I try to fix my own stuff, and if I figure if I can fix it, I'll try to fix it. If not, I guess it's going to the shop because I can't figure it out.
That's the best way to do it. You can save money. You usually can't mess anything up, but you could save money. So you do a leak down test. A leak down test works by the valves being closed on the cylinder you're working on, and you apply pressure to the cylinder, and you see if it leaks out of that cylinder. Well, great. We're not leaking out of the cylinder. We're good. But if the valves aren't opening enough to let enough air and fuel into it to fire properly, it's going to be really weak compared to the other cylinders, and it won't run. And that's what we see in these Dodge products when you're going down the road and they're not firing quite right. And then we take the valve cover off and we can physically see the rockers moving and one of them not moving as far as the rest. So that could be where you're at. If you've already done plugs and coils and fuel injector wires or
leak down sound test.
Good.
I put my head up on top of the intake manifold. I didn't hear any air there. I pulled the cap off the valve cover. I didn't hear anything there. I went to the intake manifold, or I went to the exhaust. I didn't hear anything there. I even put my ear next to the dipstick hole. I cannot. There's no air coming out of this thing. Nowhere. Nothing. I don't get it.
I wish there was.
It's always had cylinder 1 misfire. I took it to a shop and I said, look, it's misfiring on cylinder 1. All I need you guys to do is just tell me what the problem is. Tell me where do I need to go? And I get a call back a couple of days later and they said, it's good. You're good to go. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I go to go pick up the vehicle and I've got it sitting out there idling. And he's telling me that, it didn't take too long. We put a new injector in it, which I had already put one in it. And now you're good to go. And as I'm leaning up against the vehicle with my arm, I can feel the misfire. I can feel it. You can feel that like little nudge in the motor lights idling. And he says, I'm like, here, will you put your hand up against this vehicle? He says, why?
Uh-oh.
I say,
no.
I just want you to feel this.
Not going to do it.
And he goes, okay. So he puts his hand up against it. Oh, that's normal. These vehicles are known to have a slight miss. No, that's not normal. It acts like it's got a cam in it, dude. And it doesn't have a cam. It's stock, bro.
Those Hemis are some of the smoothest running engines. When they run, I mean, they're really, really smooth. And boy, just pull that valve cover off. You might have a broken valve spring in there too.
Just a second here, Russ. What year did you say this is?
This is a 2000, so it doesn't have a Hemi. It's got the
same difference,
but not the LA.
Yeah, then you have a lesser chance of the cam issue, but still pop that valve cover off and look at it. You could have a broken valve spring. That'd be more common than a bad cam, which is fixable.
Very easily fixable, and then that could be intermittent as the spring turns or moves. You could get some intermittent issues with that. So I wrote my note down here. I was thinking that you'd said something newer too, but that's not a Hemi motor.
I have 20 in here. I wrote down 20.
So that
Check out this. This is the real kicker. So my wife's driving the vehicle, and I don't know if these two go together somehow, one way or another. But she tells me that she's driving down the highway, and all of a sudden this thing's searching up and down for gears, and then the RPM's jumping up and down. I never witnessed that before. I'm like, what do you mean?
It could. If it's got a cylinder dropping out and it loses some power, it would have to drop down a gear to accelerate and get where it's going, and it would hunt for a gear. So it's possible.
So the next step is
I got to pull that valve cover and look at those valve springs on number 1 and see what they look like. Make sure the springs are looking nice and the rockers are working like they should.
Yep, and inspect that distributor.
Easy to pull off.
Frank, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Let us know how it works out. Tires, though, I mean, if that's one where if you need new tires, you can just get new tires, and then
at least you can look at it and say, yep, that looks good.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. We had a question on the chat last week, and I didn't see it till after we were done, so I want to ask it now. What if someone has a vehicle that, if it's a new vehicle, it's under warranty, or it's kind of a unique vehicle, like I think it was a Mini Cooper they were talking about. What do you do if you don't have a dealer around? How do you maintain the car or get work done if you're not near the dealer?
Yeah, so I've had this posed to me recently as well, too, in the shop. Somebody calls and says, do you work on these? And I say, no, we don't. Well, why not? And I say, well, we're capable of working on them. We have the equipment to work on them. But even though they're the same car and they're not hard to work on, if you tell a mechanic, go work on a Ford, and he's never touched a Ford in his life, he just works on Chevys, he's not going to want to work on it. It's just going to be like, I don't know, because there are just enough differences. It's kind of like programming a VCR. You remember those back in the day, or a microwave, but you're setting the clock and you have no instructions how to set the clock. Once you know how to do it, It's probably pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
On any device today. But if I give you a GoPro and I say, here, guys, set the clock on this for me. Okay. Well, I'm sure it's not hard, but I've never done this before. Where do I start? I'm not going to give you a manual. Or you can look it up online and find it. So
there has never been a better example, than a GoPro, because that thing,
and they're different. Mine are different. I was like, that one's different than this one. So they can be difficult to do. And now you throw in, you need some specific equipment to do some of the work on these cars, or a BMW or an Audi. They're more expensive. Then you have to pay subscriptions to get that tool to be usable for your car every year or every month in order to do certain things to these vehicles. So a lot of people don't want to touch them. Even the dealerships, like the dealerships that I think locally, the BMW dealership used to work on these, but the guy that used to do those, that was trained on them, is no longer there. So they'll change oil, but they won't do anything else. And then the local guy who used to specialize in nothing but cars like that is retired. So he's not there anymore. So there are certain vehicles that places won't work on because they just don't have the time.
It's a business decision.
Yeah.
So what do? You just gotta.
You find the specialist.
Yeah. You look and look. So here's what you do when you're looking. If you're in an area, you've moved from some place with a car like this to a place like here. What do? You get in good with people at the auto parts store. And I don't mean the 18-year-old kid working there part-time in the summer. I mean the person who's been there, like the route salesman that is like our guy Scott from Sturtevant's. The Sturtevant's Auto Parts guys are selling to every repair shop around. So they go into them every day, and you say, Scott, you go into your auto parts store and say, look, talk to the manager and say, I came here with a car that nobody seems to fix in this area, but it's a newer car, low mile car. I'd like to talk to your route sales manager so I could find out who he sells parts to that would, who will work on this car. Because obviously they're going to buy parts from you to fix it when they need them. So who would that be? And they'll say, oh, I don't have a clue. Let me give the number to their guy. And then the guy will call you and say, yeah, you know what? Well, XYZ Repair over here, they do those. They've actually got a crew of guys that, they do it. Not a lot of people know about it, but they're really experienced in it.
Well, and with social media, too, you can get on and find the local group. There's a group for everything.
Yeah.
There's a group for left-handed people that eat Cheetos with their right hand, I'm sure, but you can find a group and get on there and see, all right, who's working on these? Where do I go? And you might find the guy that does it at night in his personal shop, and he used to be a mechanic for that brand, and he does some side work. You might find a independent that has someone in their facility that likes working on those vehicles, so they make a specialty out of it. And I know in Sioux Falls, there's another couple shops that have popped up that are specializing in German cars, and they're trying to find they're filling that void or trying to fill that void that was left by our longtime people. So you just got to start asking around, and you can find it. It's not everywhere.
It's not in the yellow pages.
And don't get bummed at somebody if they say they don't want to work on it. It's just not what they do.
Right.
Yeah. There's been lately as the United States is changing and more European immigrants move here. People see them opening shops and food stores and different things. Well, you know what else they know really well? If they're mechanically inclined, the only cars they've ever worked on are these, because that's what they have. It's like when we're trying to work here in the United States on cars, we see Fords, Chevys, Chryslers, Hondas, Toyotas. We don't see as many
Fiats,
and that's all,
or even some BMWs that are older, like the 90s and the 2000 BMWs. A lot of shops just like, I'm not going to work on those anymore. But for me, if I was living in Europe and that's all I worked on, I would really want to work on those cars. I'm not going to want to work on a Ford because it's a whole different thing for me. So you got to find the person that does that.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Matt. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Matt, what can we do for you?
Good morning. I have a 2010 GMC Arcadia, and I have a fault code of a P0014 and a 24, and I think it's the cam sensor and the VVT sensor. Would you replace them all
I would probably
since you're already there?
I'd probably do a little deeper inspection to make sure you don't have a overlying cam chain issue, a timing chain issue. The codes are probably being given of bad sensors because they've reached the range of the correlation that they can do with a problem with the timing chain in that particular motor. And so it's not uncommon. And if you budget and do the repair with the complete kit, that motor will run for a long, long, long time. But you may be at a point where you're up against a multi-$1,000 repair if that's what it is. Russ, am I going too dramatic on this right away?
You're right in there. So what we do is car comes in, we scan it. It's got a cam crank correlation code. We've got over advanced codes on the camshafts. We're going to go up there. We're going to check those solenoids and see if they've got good continuity. The circuits are working. We're going to try to control them from the scanner. If we can't, and we've got the cam crank codes, every single time it's turned out to be a timing chain issue. But if the engine's still running pretty good, even if they jump a little ways, they can jump a few teeth and not destroy those engines. We've taken apart horribly misfiring, checked the leak down. It was fine. Put new chains in them, put them together. And like Shannon says, in our shop history, we have never had one of those engines fail for anything other than timing components. We've never had a head gasket in one. We've never had an engine knock in one in the lower end. I had somebody run one out of oil one time because a plug came out or something, but that killed it. But
we've had them killed because transmissions went bad and they've over-revved them.
Yeah, but they just last. They're a very strong engine. It's the timing part is the weak part, but again, it's the lubrication that keeps these things working. The material's a little weak. The chains stretch. The oil sludge.
Oils don't hang on the chains like they used to for some reason, and you get those problems. But
it's fixable. It's very fixable.
And it should be checked first. Like Russ said, they've got a sequence they go through to check it at the shop, and if a shop's doing their procedures right, they're going to do that first before they just tell you, like we're saying on the radio, not even looking at the car, that we're just telling you the likely outcome might be don't get caught in a trap of spending $400 or $500 and then find out you need a chain.
Right.
Have them check that right away.
And so that's just, you need to go that extra
when they come
diagnostics.
When they come into our shop, Chris, we check it as part of, we tell them, okay, this is what the timing chains will cost, but we are going to check it first. And if it's,
well, that's something you got to check it first, because I just don't want people just thinking they got to go out and replace them. But
we keep
the failure
it as
rates
part
are
of
the failure rates
cost.
are high on that particular unit.
So you don't want to just start when there's a problem that you need to be budgeting for, or
when there's tests that can be done. I just want to make sure they do the tests.
Right.
Yep, do the test.
Matt, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. That's hour one of our program. Hour two is coming up. We would love to hear from you. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show. I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. We want to get right to the callers, and I don't mean to bring my own problems into the show right away, but I am having a devil of a time today with this button on this hat.
Is it bothering you?
A lot. I'm having some real headphone hat button issues.
Why is that different than normal?
I don't know. That's the part that's
I think your hat might be down a little lower on
Put
your
it right in the center.
it's driving me nuts.
I see it. It's
right now the button is ahead of the headphone.
Yeah, I put the headphones. I mean, I am working this problem today. It's
all right, so let's take on another problem that people care more about.
Let's talk to JR. JR, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey, I appreciate the call, taking my call. And hey, great show. I've listened to you for years. I can't tell you how many problems you've helped me sort out and saved me a ton of dollars. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Well, here's the thing. I've got a 2019 Chrysler Pacifica with a 3.6 liter motor in it. It's only 36,000 miles on it. But I think I heard you tell someone earlier that the 3.6 should have the zinc additive put in the oil. Is that correct?
Well, that particular roll that we were chatting about was the deadly 7s back in the day, the 3.5s, but we have seen enough cam and lifter problems in these 3.6s, the Penstars, that I would probably do an additive of mine. I had a Jeep that we loved, and we lost a valve and lost a engine because they couldn't get parts at the time with 20,000 miles on it. And now I don't know if the additive would have helped that or not. Who knows? Because like we're starting to see, and I just got to be real clear about this. This isn't just oil. There's other problems in manufacturing that are rearing their ugly head. I was talking to a friend that's into performance cars and racing, and a very, very name brand cam builder has been having problems. And they've gotten multiple cams from them that have failed, and it's coming down to the metals that they're getting provided to them to build their product. Mm-hmm. And during the supply chain shortages, I think there was a lot of retrofitting of suppliers. Let's just put it that way. And I think there was also a lot of substitution of materials that was getting done to try to make it work.
Right.
And when they got the materials, they may not have always been as pure, as fresh. You might have things. Just think if you had a stock of metal that had to sit outside because.
Just think if you were sneaking into your dad's liquor cabinet and you filled the bottle up maybe halfway with water, and he says, "Boy, it's just not as good a quality as it used to be."
Yeah. But there was a lot of product that ended up getting pushed outside, I was told, at some of these big plants because they didn't have places to store it and they weren't using it fast enough. So I think you've got some compromised materials. But it's just something, I don't want everybody going freaky on this. We've had so many calls about this ZDDP stuff when we started talking about it. It's actually a good thing that we can have the discussion, for sure. But people don't have to be like going crazy about it. But I would say if I had a 3.6, I would be using an oil additive in it.
Okay.
Pretty much if you've been hearing that your specific vehicle and engine has been known for cam and lifter problems, that's when I'm going to start thinking, maybe I should be thinking about that.
I'll say this. If you are curious if you do have that type of engine or not, message us on Facebook.
No, don't.
No, yeah, because otherwise we'll get 5 calls in an hour.
Don't call.
Saying, is it our...
Ask your mechanic.
What about my vehicle?
Ask the mechanic that you spend money with on a daily basis.
Right.
Got 500,000 listeners. They start all...
exactly.
Hey, if you've got the time to ask us if you've got that engine, you've got the time to like us. Click like on YouTube.
Yeah, good point.
No, but that 3.6, so we see a lot of in the older versions, and I think it's a similar engine, we get a lot of engines in where you'll hear them, tick, 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 and we open them up and we find out that the cam is delaminating and there's 1 or 2 lifters that are a problem. And I'd be curious with an experiment if that would have been an additive put in it from when it was new, if that would have done that. I'd like to think that pressure would have been avoided a little bit, that friction modifier might have worked better, and you would have not had a problem. Now, we've got one of our customers that has a big fleet with a furniture company, and they have had some failures, but they run a lot of these vans. And when I first talked to him, he was not aware of a regular failure of these cams and lifters. It wasn't something on his radar.
Come on, yeah.
And what it come down to be is they've got a very good maintenance routine, and they watch it real close. And so I do think that they don't do well with poor maintenance. Now, that's getting back to your 19 Pacifica. It's only got 36,000 miles, and you're running this thing out on the road quite a bit. You're operating up to temperature. You're maintaining it on the, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 mile intervals, depending on how you use it. I think you're going to be fine, but that additive can't hurt.
JR, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. And yeah, we've just been getting, once we start, and this happens with all topics, once we bring one thing up, we get a lot of calls on the same exact vehicle or the same question.
Well, it's great. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Right.
We want to make people aware, but we don't want to scare them either.
Right.
I want to make people aware, but there are vehicles that it was not kind to them when they made that change. And like someone called in on the break and they wanted to know about that recall on that Nissan we were talking about. Well, it may not be applying to your Nissan. You know, the best way to find out those things is to go to most of the manufacturers' websites now. You can search up the VIN number of your vehicle and see if there's any open campaigns of active things on it. You know, they're getting better. A lot of them are.
Can you? I think you can at recalls.gov.
Yeah,
too,
I think that
but
website.
That would be,
that website. But some of these that are not recalls,
right?
They're more like they're Boltons. You got to get hold of your dealer and you got to do a service appointment and have them check and see. All right, here's my VIN number. Let's do an oil change. Can you tell me what's active on it?
Yeah, like the Ultima we talked about recently. Was that a recall notice or an owner? That wasn't a recall.
It was owner information about an extended warranty campaign for the emissions system.
And they just want to be not. They just want.
They've gotten some pressure put on them somewhere, and they are the highest concern for the customer.
Yeah, it didn't say that in the letter.
Yeah.
It said they had the highest concern.
Yeah, they did.
I believe them. Let's talk to Tony. You're on the Under the Hood show. Tony, what can we do for you?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I got a 2010 Cadillac SRX that I brought it in for a recall at the Cadillac dealer here in Sioux Falls, and I had to run a diagnostics on it because I was driving down to Arkansas and I went to pass a vehicle. The check engine light came on. I pulled over to the side of the road and it started stuttering. So it was like a misfire, and that's what the codes came up being. But I turned the car off, turned it back on. It went away. It drove just fine but under heavy acceleration, it would do the same thing. I'd have to pull over, shut it off, turn it right back on again. It was fine. Ran all the codes. It came up with a misfire across 5 of the 6 cylinders. I changed all the coils, all the plugs, everything like that. And it's been a recurring problem, but the car runs fine. And the Cadillac dealer said that it's probably the ECM. So they didn't want to fix anything else until that was addressed, because it was popping a code for a differential pump too. And they said they couldn't find anything wrong with it, but they just wanted to make sure. So they said, but it could all be stemming from a bad ECM, which I bought another one that was pre-programmed for my VIN and put that one in, and it came back where, I mean, it was like the car wanted to start, but there was absolutely nothing. I mean, you'd push the start button and it would just go away. I ran the codes and it said the ECM was not configured correctly for this vehicle. And so I sent it back to the dealer. They sent me another one. I did that 3 times. And I talked to the Just Answer people, a Cadillac mechanic on there. And he said, well, he's had issues with the company that I got it from. I'm not going to name drop anybody, but they're a pretty reputable company from what I've heard and what I've seen on reviews. But it's not uncommon once in a while that you might have got a bad one, or it was programmed wrong or something else was wrong with it. So I was like, okay. So I sent it back. They sent me another one. Same thing happened. But I could take the old ECM, put it right back in, and the car would start up right away, and it would drive just fine. But check engine light would stay on, which means I'm only in 2-wheel drive on the all-wheel drive vehicle. So, and it was, it had codes like the stability track and stuff like that was offline. So, did that 3 times with 3 different ECMs. And it always came back the same thing. I went to that Just Answer guy again, the Cadillac guy that I'd been dealing with, and he said, well, there might be an issue with the anti-theft device. So, and that's pretty much where I'm at right now with it, because I got the old ECM back in it, been driving it because I've had to, and I don't know where to go with it from this point, because it's just, it's like one ECM it won't even recognize I mean, all the lights come on, the dash lights up, all the gauges go through their motions when you hit the start button, but there's no clicking, there's nothing. It's just
Sure.
when you go to hit the start button.
I have never seen an ECM, this model ECM, which fits several of the GM cars, be able to be programmed on a bench and then dropped in the car and start without programming security. The VIN is programmed to it, and all the emissions and operating parameters are programmed in, but the security is a whole separate portion of that. And unless it's connected to your car when it's being programmed, the security has to be relearned, and that has to be done with a scan tool. I've never seen that. I've put in a replacement to try to test one, not in a Cadillac, but in a different one that had the same model. They have numbers like E67, E60. They have numbers on. I put it in the car, programmed it, relearned the security, got the car to run, checked it, said, all right, this is fine. Let's take it back out. I put the other one back in, and because I changed the security, even though it had been programmed in the car before, I've still got to relearn it. And if I want to try the other one, I got to relearn that security again too, because it'll only take one at a time. So yours, you can put the factory one back in and it runs, the security's learned to it. But if you're trying to put this other one in, what you're probably going to have to do is take one of those new computers, drive this thing down to a dealership or a shop that does programming, plug it in, and then pay them to program the security, which is going to be the same cost basically as programming the whole computer in most cases.
Yeah, I don't know what they're charging you for that pre-programmed ECM. You might be well served just to buy a recycled original equipment ECM from another vehicle.
Cheaper.
Because it's got to get programmed anyway, and let
programmed.
somebody do the whole thing. If it's an ECM problem, I would check the history on that car, make sure that you don't have some other latent wiring issues or something from a corrosion from a battery, washer fluid, an accident, a paint job, just something, because you got some different systems giving you things there. But, if they think computer, great, but just make sure we've checked all the wiring and all the base.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Now let's talk to Austin. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Austin, what can we do for you?
Hey, great show, guys. Really enjoyed listening to you guys.
Thanks.
Real quick question. Don't have any problems like the last guy. Gee, my heart went out to him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a challenge there. When you start resorting to the just answers on the website, and you're trying to keep the budget down, you think you're talking to a certified Cadillac mechanic, but he could be not.
Oh man. Well, not only is he going through all that stuff, but then he's doing it. He's doing the due diligence and still not getting rewarded. But anyway, with me, I got a 2016 Chevrolet Z21 LTZ, Duramax diesel Allison transmission, 2016 Chevrolet Silverado, 3/4 ton pickup. And as I bought this thing the last couple of years, I've had a couple people tell me things, and I've always wanted to see if it would be confirmed as either true or urban legend. I've had a couple people say, "Oh, Austin, that Duramax diesel, that Allison transmission, you're going to get 500,000 miles in it. You're going to get 600,000." Now, my question is that really true? Is that possible? And then number two, could you tell me what would you do if you owned this to make that transmission last to 500,000 miles? Is that possible? Those are my questions.
I'd sell it at 100,000 miles, and then I would always keep in the back of my mind that was the best truck I ever owned, and it's probably out there with 600 on it right now, making somebody very happy. Now, realistically,
go ahead.
We see plenty of these vehicles with 300,000 miles on the engines and transmissions. What's probably going to happen if you keep it well maintained and you just drive it, and I mean drive it, don't just, if you rarely drive it, maybe pull a camper or a boat now and then, and in 10 years it's got 80, 90,000 miles, it may have a few more breakdowns. But if you're driving this thing regularly and racking up some miles, and you make it to 300,000 miles or 400 or 500 in the next 10 years, then you're probably going to put a few sets of fuel injectors in it, because diesels just wear out fuel injectors. They're a very high pressure point and they wear out. It's something they do. Other than that, the transmission fluid change in these things, if you don't overload them more than what they were designed for, they do last a good long time. Allison makes a very good transmission. It's used in more than just the Chevy diesel trucks. They put it in a lot of different things. They're a good company for making. That's what they're known for. They
make industrial transmissions for all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I will tell you from our dismantling side of things, Austin, we see these regularly from the farm and ranch industry when they get wrecked with 200, 300, 400,000 miles on them, and they still have the original transmission. Often, very often.
With the fuel injector, then, you're talking about fuel injector, will that be something that'll just break down, or will I be able to have symptoms in order to do that? And will it then prolong the life of the transmission?
The injectors aren't going to help the transmission any. That thing's going to be tried and true and keep riding along no matter how bad the engine's running in most cases. But the injectors, you're probably going to start noticing a drastic change in fuel economy and black smoke out the exhaust when there shouldn't be. When you're sitting idling and you say, why is there a black cloud coming out my exhaust? It'll be light at first, and you may smell some diesel fuel and go, that doesn't seem right. And then your fuel economy will start to suffer. And then you'll have it in the shop for an oil change, and they'll say, hey, Austin, I think you need some injectors. Oh, okay. And they'll start to fail that way. Anybody with a diesel vehicle, strongly recommend additive for those injectors in every tank of fuel, no matter what year it is. Older ones, it's a 100% must. Anything older than like 07, 08. But new ones, yeah, it's important. And when you're buying fuel, if you say, I'm just not going to put additive in there, at least do me a favor and buy, or not, because I can put injectors in too. But when you're looking for fuel, look at the pump. Some pumps, let's say it's $3.50 a gallon for fuel. One pump might have Slick 50 diesel lubricator in it. One may not. One may be premium diesel with some type of additive they put in there to help protect the pumps. One may not, and they're still pretty much the same price. If you shop around, you'll see it.
In that case, if I had a diesel, I can look and find the station that has the
It'll
additive,
be very
and then
clearly labeled.
Okay.
You could make do a drive by of the pump.
Is that common, Russ?
And you'll see it. Oh yeah.
Because I know when we get our bulk fuel delivered from Volun Oil, they put an additive in.
I'll say it
that's
probably
pre-mixed with it. We buy a fuel for a few cents more per gallon.
In town across the street from us, I think it's 3 or 4 cents more a gallon for premium with an additive versus no additive. So, and I do both. I put the additive in the bottle in my tank, and I put I choose a pump with it because I have not had to replace my injectors ever. When I bought it, I did, of course, but came pre-broken.
They're extremely expensive, and there are some of the vehicles that when they break down, they can get, if they get bad enough, if you have a problem where something breaks, you can get metal into your fuel system that requires flushing of other components too that can get expensive. So
this truck right here,
it's something you just got to be aware of, but it's not urban legend. Those trucks will go a long ways. You just got a couple key things you got to watch out for. Transmission, do the service intervals that they recommend from the factory, and watch your fuel consumption, what you're putting in there.
Austin, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the bell, like the video. Bing. You don't have to do all that. And then join the hoodie fan club at underthehoodshow.com. It'd be great if you did do it. You might win a hoodie.
Shake your leg 3 times, turn around backwards, do the hokey pokey. That's what it's all about.
And if you want to do it like my sister used to do with Mr. Rogers, you could kiss the screen when Russ comes on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He really did that?
A couple times, yeah. Huh. She won't admit it.
But won't stop us from talking about it.
National radio show. That's I just let it all out.
Which sister?
Middle one.
Okay.
Today's winner is Ryan Humphrey. Congratulations from all of us here under the hood.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Can you say Humphrey? I knew you could.
866-594-4150.
We just watched that movie with Tom Hanks. It was actually pretty good.
It's not a bad movie. It's a little bit off-putting.
Huh?
Yeah.
Wait.
You haven't seen the one where Tom Hanks plays Mr. Rogers?
No, I
Oh.
did not know about it. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen the last one he did with Otto. I thought that was a great show. A Man Called Otto.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have not watched it. My wife did.
Did
but
not
she
know
said
there
she
was
said
a-
it was sneaky good. She liked it. But no, we had the rain delay at the High Bank Nationals when they had that rain go through. I said, let's watch a movie. So we had to pick one quick, and we had to pick one that wasn't super long,
Right.
you know, because I didn't want to miss the main events. And
That's why I was sitting there.
so we got
During the
we got
rain
in that. I can't say the name of the movie, but it was a based on Mr. Rogers.
I
and
drove
it was
through.
it was really good.
During the rain delay, earlier in the day, I needed to take a load through that town. So I said, I'm not going that way. Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent. It was because it was busy. But they had the rain delay thing going on, and I was headed that way. And I said, we're going to go through here because I just want to see what it looks like. Holy smokes, was it busy.
Yeah, they had over 10,000 people there. They said
Everywhere.
I just sat there in the rain, hunching a little bit more as it got stronger and stronger. And then I
Did you sit there through that whole
the
heavy
entire
shower?
thing? Did not,
Because that was a
move almost-
heavy shower. That
and the
came through.
lightning was coming down, and I just sat there. I took it like a man.
So anyway, that movie
Yeah.
is based on a true story. How they correlated it all together about a reporter that was asked to go interview him. You'd enjoy it, I think, Russ. And then
I probably would.
with that impersonation you just did, it'd be spot on by the time the movie was over.
He's a little off-putting as Mr. Rogers, don't you think? A little bit.
Tom?
Yeah. Just there was a couple times you're like, are they gonna make a turn here and make it a horror movie? It just. Let's talk to Bruce. Bruce, you're on the End of the Hood show. What can we do for you?
Hi, love your guys' show.
Thanks.
Thanks,
I'm close to you in Brandon, South Dakota.
Well, we were just talking about
There you
Brandon,
go.
South Dakota, and yesterday I had visitors here from Brandon, Florida.
Oh,
And they were
Wow.
touring through on a motorhome from Brandon Auto Services. My friend Steve Holland from the Automotive Recyclers Association, his wife Barb, and their friends. And then they were leaving here, and guess where they were staying last night?
Brandon, South Dakota.
Big Sioux Recreational Area in Brandon, South
There you
Dakota. So they were getting all the
Oh.
Brandons out of the way.
Oh, that's just great. Well, here's my question. My fiance has a 2018 Honda CRV two-wheel drive, and on occasion, all the hazard warning lights will come up. Lane departure, brake, the whole 9 yards. I'm sure you probably heard of that before. What would be the fix to that? And then all of a sudden, it'll just stop doing it.
perfect.
Oh boy.
I want to ask. I'm going to ask one more qualifying question here.
Sure.
The lights that are coming on, is it like hazards? Like you push the button because you're sitting alongside the road, or are you talking about the ADAS system that it's giving you warnings for? There's a vehicle beside you,
Triangle.
or which one is it?
The ADOC system.
Yeah, it gives you the triangle of death and says failure and all that. Just
Yep.
hope that they can scan it and read a code that makes a lot of sense, like a wheel speed sensor, intermittent. Maybe you'll get one that says right front wheel speed sensor, intermittent, right front wheel speed sensor, irrational behavior, right front wheel speed sensor, circuit code. Just pray you get all those at once, because that's going to lead us to probably a good likelihood that sensor is bad, or the wire at the sensor is bad.
And that'll affect that ADAS system also.
Oh, everything.
Okay,
You need the
All
wheel
the
speed
inputs.
sensors to work. You need the traction control to work. All that, or you'll get all sorts of Christmas lights going on. But if there are no codes in this system, it's like next to impossible to start guessing. You can't throw components of this because there are too many, and it's not a real common problem that we see 1,000 of these with this issue. So we replace this circuit board and it fixes it. It's a thing where you're going to have to find that specific issue, and it's got to do it all the time in order to find it. Or if they scan it and find out that we've got one sensor that's giving us more
steering
codes than the
angle
rest.
sensor, where it might happen to be. But that you would hope that you're not the only one that's had this problem, and that you could ask the service advisors if they've seen this at the Honda dealership, if it's a common thing.
Is there anything that he could have had done? What popped into my head right away was we had a call once from somebody who got a windshield put in.
Yep.
And it didn't get calibrated, and it kind of ran okay for a little while, and then went.
Yeah, a windshield replacement without getting calibrated correctly. Maybe some body work, light body work where bumpers were removed to do something, or is always something to look at.
A good swift kick because it had
a very large dragonfly plastered across multiple sensors.
Raccoon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're being facetious here, but there's a number of things that can trigger that system to go into, I'm not sure I'm working right. And then
well, she did have her windshield replaced. And when it happened, we called the Honda, and by the time inadvertently it just stops. I mean, it's okay. So there's no way they can find out what's wrong. So a little frustrating. But you can't use your cruise control. The lane departure doesn't work. All the lights are flashing.
Make sure you find out who put the glass in, and you make positive that windshield was
the correct one for the vehicle.
You go get a receipt from them who did it
with the part number
that shows right on it that we removed and replaced windshield, recalibrated ADAS system, because if it's not listed on the receipt, they probably didn't do it. I want to know that that's been done, and it's not cheap. So if you call a glass place and one place says, yeah, we get $350 to put it in the glass, and the other one gets $550, what's the difference? Well, glass is very competitive, so it's usually not the price of the glass. It's usually the charge for the calibration, because I had my windshield put in a Yukon, and they did not calibrate it. They charged me another $250 to calibrate it at a different location, and this place said, "Oh, we don't calibrate them. We have a guy that comes and does it, but he's not available to do yours. But you will pay extra." I said, "Well, did you charge me for it?" Nope.
Okay.
It's extra, and you had to do it.
Does that help you out there, Bruce?
That helped us a great deal. You bet. You really appreciate you guys.
Thanks very much for the call. If it's the windshield, Bruce, will you please call back? Because
Chris would feel really good. Chris would feel really good.
866-594.
I did start you down the path by asking if anything's been done to it.
No, that was all. I wasn't paying attention to you.
Thanks. That's normal.
Let's go to Mississippi and talk to Vicki Lee. You're on the Under the Hood show, Vicki Lee. What can we do for you?
Yes, I'm having some door lock problems. When I first bought it, all I had to do, after I opened it up, was hit the lock button one time and all my doors would open, including the back. I guess I've had it about 4 months, and then now I have to hit the button 4 times just to get the rest of the doors open, and my back will not open at all.
What vehicle are we talking about here?
It's a 2001 Ford Escape.
Okay.
Those door locks in those are prone to get gummed up and dirty with age. We've put some actuators in on a number of those. The one in the tailgate doesn't get used near as often, so it's the first one that's prone to failing quickest. The other ones, the back doors and the passenger door, that doesn't get used as much because you have to unlock it twice to get those to unlock. One lock will lock them, but twice to unlock it. Yep. And, for most people, they just hit the button once, they get in their driver's door. So those other doors can fail quicker over the years. So it wouldn't surprise me if you need actuators. What they're going to do is they're just going to put their ear to the door and hit the unlock button. And if they hear it buzz just a little bit, or the lock tries to move a little bit, but it doesn't come open, they're going to have to put a new actuator in it and free that stuff up.
It's weird to think that car is 23 years old.
It doesn't seem 01 is starting to register with me that's a little older now.
Yeah.
But it's
I've
crazy.
gotten lucky before where I've taken the door and opened it and closed it a number of times firmly. I'm not saying slam it, but just give it some good firm open and closes on the other doors. And it was enough movement and enough shock to that actuator that they started working again.
And otherwise, when it's just a thing that ages out, right? It wears out.
Yep.
Yeah. I
exactly.
Check your batteries, of course. Make sure you're getting full strength signal. That should all be fine. Check it from inside the vehicle and see if it does the same problem inside as it does with the remote. If you can duplicate the problem with the remote and the inside push buttons, it's more than likely the actuators. If it does two different things, then we got to start checking wires and some other stuff.
Vicky Lee, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Be sure to visit our website for news, contests, and previous shows at underthehoodshow.com. Welcome back, everybody. It's time to get back under the hood with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's go to Michigan and talk to Jason. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Jason, what can we do for you?
Yes, how you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Good. So I have a 2014 Chevrolet Cruze with the 1.4 engine, and I've noticed that when I turn on the air conditioning, that I get a slight clicking noise from under the hood.
Okay.
Yeah, and normally when I hear the clicking noise, it's with the air conditioning on and when the fan kicks in. So I don't know what that would be. Would that be like an air conditioning compressor or like an alternator?
Is your air conditioning functioning what you think is properly, or is your air conditioning not working as well as you think it should by any chance?
I've also noticed with the air conditioning that sometimes it doesn't blow as cold as it should.
Your air conditioning could be cycling because of a coolant issue.
The fan. Yeah, the fan not running like it's supposed to, causing it to overheat, the temperature to go up on the compressor's overheating, the refrigerant.
So it's cycling in and out to protect itself.
High pressure.
That's a theory based on what you've said. Because that clicking noise.
Those fans are horrible on those cars. We replace those all the time.
You're talking about the engine
cooling
engine fan.
Yeah, it runs. It's one big fan, runs the engine coolant and also the air conditioning. And it's got the resistor built into it, the whole thing. They've had lots of problems with those. Easy to find. You can get them at pretty much any parts store.
So if the fan itself was not working, like Russ said, then you could get heat and then it's going to cycle it out. And plus your air conditioning is not going to perform well. So if you don't have your air conditioning on and you're just operating the vehicle on vent or just normal, you don't have this noise and you don't have any problem, you're saying?
Yeah, correct.
That should be, as long as you can do that every time, this should be very solvable by a mechanic. They should be able to diagnose this and see what's going on.
But that is the next step.
If the fan is working properly and it's still cycling like this, then you look at, all right, why is it doing that? Is it low on coolant? Is there a airflow issue between the radiator and the condenser and it's getting warm? Is there for some reason that the condenser itself is just full of bent fins from bugs, or maybe it was in an accident and didn't get repaired properly? There's just different things there, but it just sounds to me like the air conditioning compressor clutch is cycling, and it does that to protect itself when there's something not quite right.
Jason, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Kay. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Kay, what can we do for you?
Hi. Yeah, I have a 2007 Cadillac SRX. It's like a small SUV. And I don't know if it's user error. I don't know if I'm doing it. And I've read the book. I can't figure it out. But I keep draining the battery. And the other thing I can tell you, I have limited details, but when I'm trying to charge the battery, this last time I could not charge it at all. But under the hood, towards the front passenger side, I could hear this clicking. And if you go and sit inside the car, it sounds like the doors are locking and unlocking continuously. And I don't know what to do.
that sound you're hearing is a normal noise that occurs when a battery is to a certain point, when it's low enough that it's doing that. Every time you run a battery dead, if this car had a brand new battery, every time it goes dead, it's going to lose half its reserve capacity. So if that thing could sit with a light on for a half hour before it was dead, once you run it dead once, now it's going to sit for 15 minutes before it's dead. You charge it back up, now it's going to go for 7.5 minutes before it's dead. You charge it back up, it's so and so on. It's going to keep.
But to be clear, that the battery's not the issue, right? I
No,
mean,
the-
she
well-
doesn't. She might need to replace the battery.
Yeah, so we don't know that for sure.
Right,
yet.
but
The
there's
battery's probably shot at this point.
Right.
But then you have to find out why and if there is a current drain.
Right.
Now, this model car, if it sits for 2 weeks or so without a battery maintainer on it and nobody's driving it, it's going to go dead. Period. That's just what they do. I've got one in our parking lot now. It's been there 2 weeks. It was working fine. I went to try to start it this morning and it just kind of turned over slow. So I put the charger on it. It's been sitting there. It's waiting for a part. That's what those cars do. The Corvette comes with a battery maintainer because they have a lot of components in it that draw current. These Cadillacs do as well. If they're driven every day, they're fine. Or even if they're driven, once a week for a couple hours, they'll be fine. But if they sit and don't get a lot of driving, there's a lot of the cars they make today that pull that much.
Hey, how recently has this car had a battery that you know of?
Well, my nephew used to work for Exide, and he brought me a battery, and I think it's like 2 years old or so. But I'm not positive about that.
Well, I think you need to get this to somebody that has a good electronic smart battery tester and have them test the battery. Make sure that it's got good reserve capacity, that there's no shorts inside the battery. And I think if it's been dead a lot, like Russ said, let's probably going to start with a battery, check the connections when they put the battery in, and then go from there. Now, is Russ's theory correct? Do you run this car every day, or does it sit for a bit?
No, it sat for a bit. And like this winter, I didn't drive it at all. I have another car that's actually fine, but this car I want to eventually sell.
Yeah, if the car is going to sit for a period of time, you need to get a battery maintainer. They're affordable. You can get them at most of your big box stores
anywhere.
You get on Amazon. You can buy them. I mean, you can get them everywhere. A battery maintainer. It's a smart electronic charger that you plug in to the wall. You hook it to your battery hot and negative terminals, or jump lead and negative, wherever you can get access to, and you just leave it on, and it floats the battery at a healthy state, and it'll be exactly what I think you need after a new battery in that car, probably, because this one is more than likely damaged enough from the going dead that you're not going to be able to keep it going. So I think that's what you need. I don't think you have anything majorly wrong with your car.
It's not draining it.
Nope.
Untowardly.
Nope. Let's get there and find out.
Okay, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's talk about next Wednesday night.
Is that next Wednesday night already?
I said to your dad today. He said, "Oh, it's next Wednesday." I said, "No, it's not. It's in July."
There's no way.
Right. It's
Yeah,
in July.
Well, I didn't do this last year because I was out of town, but we're going to be on site. The Under the Hood show's going on the road just a bit for the Quick 60 for the Corvette Club before they do their big run out to Spearfish at the WH Lines Fairgrounds.
Black Hills Corvette Club.
Corvette Classic.
Corvette Classic, Quick 60. Now, what is it? Describe the Quick 60.
Well, you basically have got a start box and a stop box, and it's 60 feet. And you got to accelerate as fast as you can.
Got to be quick.
And stop as fast as you can and not go over the line.
And 40 more feet. It's a 40-foot stopping zone.
Yep, and you can't go over the line. And you see how quick you can do it. And it's a fast little engine rush, brake rush. You'll see times anywhere from 2 point to 4 point.
Round 2. I think the quickest ones go 188, something like that. And we'll have some professional cars out there that will.
Leasing Gear Racing will bring their Summit sponsored racing and Lucas Oil Products racing cars that they've won national events with. They've got some neat cars that they tinker with and see if these stock vehicles can get close to their time. And there's some money getting up for prizes, and
they can now.
Yeah.
And this year is the first year. This is something we've talked about for a couple of years. There's now a different category for C8s. They are going to be in their own category
for the new mid-engine cars.
Right. Got so much with the power and the tires and the computers that are in them. Yeah, they should be in a separate category.
Yeah, so they're going to have their own category this year. Now, in the past, we've had so few of them. There was, I think, 1 the first year, and then 2 or 3 last year was all. So they're different categories for this event. You can win cash if you're a member of the club. You have a different category. It's a super fun event.
It is. But you can get involved, and it's sponsored by Nordstrom's, and you got the different groups. Group 1 is NEC8. Group 2 is NEC7, Generation Corvette and down. And there's different registration prizes, cost if you're a member or not a member of the club.
And Group 3 is for just people who show up with their Corvette.
Not a registered guest or any year Corvette, and the highest placing Corvette gets $100. And yeah, there's some money up for grabs. This is at the W.H. Lyon Fairgrounds, Wednesday the 12th, and the gates open at 4:00. And this event will be right after the fun they have at Jerry's Corvettes in the morning. The drinks and foods and food trucks are going to be available at the fairgrounds. There's a car show too, of course, because they park all the cars and you can see all the different colors and all the different variations. And it's a fun night. So that's Wednesday the 12th. If you're looking for something to do and you want to watch or bring your Corvette out, you can place and compete. There you are.
Welcome to the Under the Hood show after show. Should we take a call right there? We've got calls coming in.
Yes,
we
will.
That. Let's go to Oregon and talk to Travis. Travis, you're on the Under the Hood show. What can we do for you?
Hey, guys. I just wanted to talk to you real quick and let you guys know that Car Dash part saved today on my 2009 Dodge Journey.
Good to hear.
Good to hear. We do like to hear that. Tell us how.
So on the camshaft, it has the tone ring, I guess you'd call it, for the distribution, for the distributor. Well, that had come loose on mine and was rattling around in there. It would still run, but it would throw the code. I forget what code it was now, but I looked all over North America for that part, and it's been discontinued. And it took, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And finally, I heard you guys talking about Car Dash part, and I looked it up, and sure enough, there was one on there. I ordered it up and got that thing going again.
So I am curious. I mean, the Car Dash part is a great system to find recycled original equipment parts. The part you mentioned is not a part that people commonly inventory. Did you look up like a camshaft or a cylinder head, or what was your method to look it up?
Cam sprocket, left side, I believe, is what I used for the 2009 Dodge Journey. The 3.5 liters, the one that I had.
They're hard to find,
and,
so it doesn't surprise me that they're listing them on these engines that come in. Like Shannon today said, well, we get some of these that have bad engines in them. They have bad cams, and depending on the mileage, do you fix the cams or junk the engine? You recycle that thing. So, I could see them.
Somebody realized this and said, hey, let's put these sprockets on inventory, and somebody's going to buy them from us.
Yeah, and I had actually sourced a head on eBay. I ordered the head and everything, thinking I could just pull that part off of the head. Well, I got the head, and that one part, the ring was all dinged up. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. Well, then I heard about Car Dash part from you guys, and it saved the day.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Really good to hear.
So I just wanted to thank you guys, and thanks for being on the air, and appreciate it.
Thanks very much for the call, Travis. That's awesome.
You bet. Have a great day.
And we should mention that not only are they a sponsor of ours, but you supply, you're on there. If we might find, you could get like a tornado of synergy between Car Dash Part, this show, and your business?
We have parts on there just like thousands of other recyclers across the country, selling quality recycled original equipment parts, and that is one of the number one things that makes our phone ring from around the country.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit more about the Quick 60 there. We just talked about it at the end of the radio show there. That is a fun event, and we'll be out there. You get to talk in cars, Russ. People come over and talk to you about cars and what they got going on.
I got a question for you about my car. Okay,
yeah,
I get that all night long.
What I love is when they want to stump you with something. Have you ever heard of this? And you're like, oh yeah, sure. Does it have the 281 in there? Oh yeah, it does. That's it. It's fun to eavesdrop on those car conversations. I do. I love it. I love it because it's
the 281.
Yeah, it's the 281 gear. It's got you can do the 281 or the 308, and this guy had a 281. It was originally it started out as a Mopar part.
Stop, you're getting in the weeds.
No, but I got the right word. I mean, the words all are real, right?
To some conversation that was once had.
Yeah, sure. All right, there you go. But then we'll be out there. We're gonna have we'll be doing like commentary, not really commentary. We'll be talking about for the Quick 60. We'll be giving the times and stuff. It's a super fun event, and you mentioned it. And Ross, every time we go, what do we get? We go and get the gyro and lemonade. I can't wait to have a gyro and a lemonade.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm. It's a fun event, and it's going to be, in the past, it's been for Corvette Club members only, the Quick 60, but this year we're going to have a group for people that aren't registered as for the Black Hills Classic, and they can take part and have their own category.
Yep, they're in Group 3 at that point. I've got an instruction sheet here written up by Art Nordstrom here. If you'd want one of those emailed to you, I'm sure we could arrange to get that done. If you called out to our business, we could have a PDF and get this emailed out to you of the different rules.
And
if my dad's involved, there's always a lot of different rules.
If you're the only one that comes out for Group 3, you just make $80 right there. Boom.
Yeah.
And in the past, I think, like we said, the first year, I think we only had one C8, so they would have won their category, right? Right off the top. Wonder if I'm the only C8. Can I win all of the places?
I wonder if the guy that...
Because I'd have 3 runs
smoked his clutch 2 years ago ever fixed it.
Yeah.
Did he make it?
Yes.
The Classic? Every run, he was smoking his clutch bad.
And I remember that one was fun because his first run, everybody went, ooh, that thing, oof.
Yeah.
And then he came up for the second run, and it was like, he's like, no, yeah, I'm not driving this thing past this town, so I'm just going to use it all up tonight.
And he did.
He sure did.
We smelled it all.
Uh-huh.
No drag racing tires. Cars must be street-driven, licensed cars. No race cars other than the Leasinger cars that are there doing their exhibition runs. And those cars are cool. They took first and second place at the National Autocross Pro X class. And there's a bounty on them.
Yeah.
If you can beat them, there's extra money.
Mm-hmm. So join us out at the fairgrounds. And last year, we ran the Under the Hood show car. This year, Art invited me to run my car, but it's not ready. Doug wants to know if he can run the van. Can he run the van in the Quick 60? Come on, you can. You can take my spot. I'm supposed to go third, but I can't. So
we got a video of my
Prius.
sister doing one with a Prius when we did it out here at for the club. We had their meeting out here at our company.
How did it go?
Prius is a lot faster than the van.
How did it compete for time?
It was slower.
A lot slower? Because it's only 60 feet.
It was a second or so slower.
Oh, that's slower.
And it was really a mess inside the car when she was done because she had containers that she travels with that all were laying upside down, topsy turvy inside the car
I
because
bet.
of the brake application in the 40-foot
They stop
braking
well.
zone.
Yes.
Yeah, she used a little more than regenerative braking on that deal.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if she could feel the.
now, you know what? Did she do
transition.
it, or did my nephew drive?
Regurgitative braking.
My nephew might have drove the car. Jonathan might have drove the Prius.
In
and done that. I got to think of how that went.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter won that night.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, she jumped in the car, and first time she did it, and she won that night.
I have to go talk to Art here and say, you invited me to put my car in it, and my car's not available. I do know a solution. I mean, I do know another. If Art, if you wanted me to do the quick 60, I could
ask Marie.
Oh yeah.
Ask my mom
to use the vet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good idea.
Yeah.
I'll just bypass Art because I know what Art's going to do.
You go straight to her.
Yeah.
She's down there waving her arms right now. Is she that? Can we see her?
She's down there just shaking her head. So we'll be out at the fairgrounds next week if you're in town for this. It's a super fun event. It'll be
a lot
great.
of cars. There'll
Big
be
car show.
Hundreds
Yeah,
of cars there.
Mhm.
So
super fun.
And you come talk to us.
Yeah. It's fun. It's a fun time. And there's food,
drinks,
drink, and
music. Yeah, it's fun.
All right. We'll see you there. All right. That'll, I think, do it, huh?
Yeah, I hope everybody had a great, safe 4th. We're all here. I know there's been some things that happened around that were not great for people. And so just when you're out on those lakes, I mean, this is a motorized show. Be careful.
Yeah.
Just be careful. Some of these lakes are getting so packed. So many people have bought
Or not.
recreational
It was a
equipment.
crazy holiday.
And they've, got people on them that sometimes aren't as skilled as others and haven't been taught as well what to watch for. And you really got to be careful.
Yeah, you should look and find out what rules are, whatever sport you're in, before you do it. If you're in some of the states, like if you're down in Iowa, we have one of the 3 blue water Great Lakes in the world, Okoboji, not too far from here, and that's a huge lake. And they're nice enough; they'll tell you when you're doing the wrong thing because they have 6 full-time police boats patrolling the lakes, and they'll tell you, orange flag when you got a skier back there, the whole bit, and how far to stay away. But for the most parts, at least in this part of the country, in a lot of places where they don't have full-time officers, people just go out and they may not know the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to protect yourself. You got to think about that because things happen so fast. Even at that 30 miles an hour that happens on a lake, a lot of times the slower speeds, boy, stuff just comes up at you so quick. And ATVs, I cringe every time I see people on ATVs without helmets jumping ditches and things, and I think of the people that are wearing full protective gear and have been hurt severely or worse. So
Just got to be careful and
have
understand
fun.
the risks.
Have fun, lots of fun,
Yeah.
but careful too. Don't be dumb like me.
Well,
Get your jet ski out and ride it because you're an old man.
Yeah. How was that?
Hey, how'd the wet bike ride go, Russ? I seen they were moved around a little bit in the shed. I saw a video Michelle had posted of you out on
My
Lake
ass
Thompson.
was so sore that Monday night, I couldn't sit down without help. I mean, the act of standing to sitting was like,
Was it the actual butt or was it the thighs?
No, my ass and my legs were just like on fire because it was 2 days after. It was like I had worked out for a month straight and then decided, because I was like, I was fine walking and I was fine sitting, but trying to sit down, I'd have to like lean on a rail and just scoop my feet out.
Did the wet bikes just go with no problems?
No. No,
What they got going?
I saw a video of one going across the lake.
Hers was fine, and mine ran. That's the only one I've got left running. But it's been it sat in a damp, moldy building all winter. Yeah, I've never really had to do a lot of winterization to it. It's always fine, and it's always super dry where it's at. That's not good on outboards when you have engines, and this is an inboard outboard thing, but you really got to winterize them better. So I ended up with some rust in the cylinder. So at first it didn't want to turn over, and then it didn't want to, once it got running, it had low power, but after I put a couple hours on it, it got better. But I think I'll tear it down this winter and maybe put some rings in it. But It worked.
Here's how much of a young
got me
man's
going.
game he was playing. He told me that he was out on it and realized that he was pretty far away from the dock and his wrist was really tired.
I couldn't
from
I couldn't hold after we drove. We were on Lake Thompson, which is a big lake, not very deep but big. We decided to make a loop all the way around the whole thing, and we were doing it in 1.5 waves. And it's like
Yeah, it looked
riding.
pretty choppy, the video I saw.
It's like riding a dirt bike over 1.5 hills for an hour straight. Woo, 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 woo. And so we did that we went around the whole perimeter of the lake. And by the time I got 3/4 of the way around, you could let go of one side and shake your arm, but I couldn't let go of the other
The
side
old forearm pump.
because I got the throttle and you stop. It's not like a jet ski where you can just reach over and hold it with the other hand. No, I was like, and I just couldn't do it. So finally we stopped at the beach for about an hour and then took off again and went back. And I said, I'm done with that. That was rough.
It's like that first week of bowling.
Well, I got it. The last time I rode those, so I had them parked for like 12 years. And there was a reason for that. I mean, we got old of it, but we parked them. But then I got it out 2 years ago. We used them one weekend and put them away again. But the last time I had them was at Okoboji on the 4th of July. And that was one of the other race bikes. And they're much faster, way faster. And the waves are much bigger. A busy day. This year there were like 10 boats out on the big lake, which was crazy for the weather. It was cooler and it was kind of rainy, but still the whole place was dead, which is just really odd. There was
midweek 4th of July.
There were more people on Lake Thompson. It was just odd.
Sure.
So, and we've been up there. I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday, the last 4th of July that we were at Okoboji, but I had a really bad crash on one up there and destroyed one of the wet bikes up there. I don't know if you remember that when I had the crash up there.
I don't.
Yeah, I just got lucky. I didn't hit anybody, but I hit the waves as big as they were. I hit one full speed and I kind of rode around a couple and hit the crest of this wave and went straight up in the air. And then the water dipped down where the low spot was in the other wave. And I stopped and went right down and broke a ski and made a mess. Yeah, it was, it was, and it hurt. Face hit the handlebars and it was, nothing broke. I was surprised, but I was like, okay, I'm done riding this thing. I was like, I put it away for a while and put the other ones away, and then a year turned to another year.
Remind me again who the manufacturer of those units were.
They were originally created and made by a guy who made camera mounts for motion pictures named Nelson Tyler. I think he might have died here in the last couple years. He also made turret mounts and stuff for like the dolly mounts you see on vehicles that are used in movie production. And he came up with this thing. It was originally looked like a motorcycle with a outboard motor mounted inside of it, and it had a propeller under the ski. And then he says that's not going to work, so he didn't sell any of those. He put a jet pump on it, made it into a jet drive. They used him in James Bond. They had him in one of the movies, Police Academy movie. They had him riding, chasing the bad guy in that. And then after a couple years of that ride-on model, Kawasaki switched over from their stand-up to a sit-down, and then the whole industry changed. But they made them from like 1976 all the way up to 1991. They were bought out. Wetco, which was Nelson Tyler and Wet Bike, was bought out by Suzuki. And they were made in Thief River Falls, Minnesota for the last 2 years. And then they stopped making them and just tried to sell what they had left for the following 2 years. And then a little company in Wisconsin bought out what was left of all their inventory and just started selling it to whoever would take it. They were like a liquidation company, kind of like a eBay thing. And I bought a bunch of stuff from them, but yeah, they're long gone. It's really something that I like getting them out now. You get on Okoboji early in the morning, like 6:30. Sunrise is coming up. People are having their coffee. The lake is smooth as glass. There's no boats out there yet. and you take a cruise and you just ride the shoreline. It's like going for a nice bike ride on your Harley, and you just cruise the shoreline and people go, huh? And they point. You can just tell. You can tell they're looking at you because they're pointing. Their fingers out, their arms out, and they're all pointing. They're a big family. They're all pointing like this as you go by, and they're like, "What was that?" I keep thinking one of these days I'm going to get myself like a big bumblebee suit or a something like something, and just
how about a big under the hood show hoodie that you can see and read the website on. There
you go.
I sent Chris a picture of a hoodie. How'd you like that?
It's big. Yeah. I saw it too.
That was big, but
big.
Yeah, you get some weird stuff.
Now as it go by, they're like, "Oh, should that guy be on that?"
What year is yours again?
The one I had out this weekend's a 79. So it's old. That's the one I had up at the river run in Minneapolis.
Closer to Pearl Harbor than today.
It got the it got the attention up there when they did that article on it because it was old, but that's it. They went, "Oh, look, the oldest one. Okay, who cares? Let's go to something new now." But I realized you get to a certain age and you just want to sitting down in the boat is much more fun, slow it down and have fun, but it's nice to pull it out occasionally. It was actually after the ride was over, I went, "Oh, this is rough." My wife said, "Okay, I'll buy you a motorcycle or I'll buy you a sit down jet ski. What do you want?" I said, "Well, let me think about this." So yeah, I think we're gonna get a
Buick.
A Buick, a nice Buick.
Yep, something
rich Corinthian leather.
That's right.
Something soft to sit on. Yeah, it was.
How are you? How's your butt and legs?
I'm fine now.
Okay,
I gave it a couple days. I was good to go, but it was quite the thing. I wore my arms off doing construction, and then I sit down and so I'm like,
yeah.
You got to realize age hits you. Shannon won't quit. He's like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'll just keep going. How much stupid stuff did you do on a jet ski this weekend? You had to have done some stupid stuff.
Yeah, we rode
Did
it
you
quite
lose
a bit.
anything?
Nope.
Okay. No phones, no.
They reminded me of the values of things I've dropped in the lake. None of it was dropped. I have did some mountain biking in the Tioga recreational area up in Grand Rapids with my brother-in-law and Mitch, who married my niece, and we had a great old time. We did that a couple times. We had a birthday party for my dad up there with the family, and that was an event. We had some fun. It was good. We had a good time. I was I rode on a tube. My daughter wanted to go tubing, and nobody wanted to tube with her, so I rode on the tube with her for a long time.
That'll wear the arms out.
Yeah, and that arms and
core
abdomen.
Yeah, that's.
I see everybody going to these sit down tubes now. They're tow behind you, just sit in it.
Yeah, like Big Bertha, you're sitting in there.
That is, hey, come on! What happened in the old days? We used to ride on a black tractor tire with electrical tape wrapped around the valve stem so you wouldn't cut yourself. You remember that? Dad's like, face that thing down and duct tape it down because if you don't, you're going to get stabbed with that thing.
The big tube.
You'd get the cut on the bottom of your arm every time from that thing sticking through, and we had the rope wrapped around it. And you go around a corner and you fall off. Now it's
good flat tube.
Easy.
You can get 2 or 3 people on it, and it was fun. My daughter was pulling us, and she likes to pull, and we were riding, and we had fun. It was a good time. So I came back in pretty good shape this time. No big cuts on my leg or
no GoPros at the bottom of the lake.
No GoPros or phones at the bottom of the lake. I think we brought everything home that we brought up there.
That's good. People too.
Yep.
Everybody made it. All right.
Yep.
There we go. That'll do it for the after show. Thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure to like and subscribe and do all that YouTube stuff. We'd appreciate it.